So if you think about most people's dreams and aspirations, for the ones that have ones, of course, and that want to do more and that want to do better, have a more abundant life, most people, about 90% of them, have the goals of being a millionaire. In fact, a study was done in populations of people between 18 and 45 years old. 80% of them said that financially their goal was to be a millionaire, which wasn't a surprise to me because if you think about it, everybody has said over and over the years that once you make it to be a millionaire, you have made it. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have any need to work ever again if you ever reach this status of a millionaire. Now, though $1 million is a lot of money, it's not as much money as people think, and it's certainly lost its meaning from the early 2000s or even 1990s. If you think about it, the meaning of the millionaire status has decreased quite a bit because the value of the dollars are not the same. In fact, I always say this: if you reach $1 million in net worth, try to go from $1 million to $5 million as quickly as you can, because when you get to $1 million is actually when you are weakest. One little thing goes wrong when you're a single digit millionaire and it can be wiped out just like that. Now, when you have $5 to $10 million, then you have the resources to fight most things that can come your way. But not only that, but you've done it only not one time, but 5 times over and over. So now you have the ability and the knowledge that is needed to actually make money, and you can't really call it luck anymore. And honestly, once you get to $1 million, it's just easier. It just becomes easier to make money. And that's why the rich get richer, because once you make $1 million, if you made it with hard work, then you know how to make it, and it's easier to go from 1 to 4 to 5 to 10 to 20 and so on. It just becomes a game. Today though, I want to talk about something specific, which is your net worth. Most people say that they want to become a millionaire when they don't even know what that means. Having $1 million cash makes you a millionaire, but you would probably be one of the dumbest millionaires I've ever met in my entire life, or you inherit the money from somebody else, whether it's your dad, your granddad, or whoever you inherit the money from. So today, as always, I want to give you 2 things. The first one is how to calculate your net worth and what it means, but 2, and most importantly, why you shouldn't focus on your net worth number only, because most people do that and that's a big mistake. Stay with me for about 10 minutes and you'll see what I'm talking about here. My name is Andrew Peasy. I'm an investor and entrepreneur out of Las Vegas, and I want to welcome you to the AP Show, where I'll be focusing on how to build a great life around health, wealth, love, and happiness, which I believe are all needed in order for you to have a great life overall and not just in one specific area. Before we start the video, I want to get right into the topic of today's video, but before that, please do 3 things for me. Please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and comment below with your thoughts about this topic or any future videos that you want me to talk about in the channel. With that out of the way, let me give you the definition of what your net worth is and how to calculate it. Your net worth, simply put, is the total wealth of an individual or a company taking into account all its assets and liabilities. The reason why I said simply put is because I'm going to elaborate on that by giving you the way that you can calculate your own net worth so that you can understand better. Your assets are anything that you own, such as a house, cars, cash that you may have in a bank account, stocks, investments, anything that you basically have your hands on and you can call it yours. Your liabilities, on the other hand, is anything that you owe. So for example, if you own a house and it's worth $500,000, the house is the asset, but you have a mortgage on it for $300,000, and that's your liability. So what that tells you is that your net worth is calculated by taking your gross value for anything that you own, your assets, and subtracting the liabilities. So for example, let me go into an actual example, but you take your assets minus your liability, and that's your net worth. Let me give you an example. Let's say that you have a rental property that is worth $500,000. Then you have a home where you live in worth $750,000. After that, you have a vehicle that is worth $50,000. You have stocks worth $50,000 more, and then you have cash between savings and checkings totaling up to $50,000. Other than that, you have $100,000 in retirement accounts, which if you put together of your assets, you have a total assets of $1.5 million. Now, Does that make you a millionaire just because you have $1.5 million in assets? No, because you have to bring your net number to $1 million. But after that, we have to take into account that you have $750,000 of liabilities between mortgages, loans on the vehicles, and stuff like that. So your net worth in this scenario is $1.5 million, which is your gross in assets, minus $750 in liabilities, which is your loans. It brings your total net worth to $750,000. Now, I said I would give you two things, right? The second one is the following. It's why not to focus on your net worth number only. I'm not saying don't focus on it. I'm saying just don't pay too much attention to it where it becomes the only thing you pay attention to. The first thing I'm going to say about this topic is the following. Do not become obsessed about seeing the value of your assets that make up your net worth, an obsession to the point where you only pay attention to that. Why? Because in life, the best decision that you can make financially is to try to figure out ways to make more and more money. That's even more important than seeing the net worth that your assets will build. If you're always going on Zillow and stuff like that and seeing how your rental property is going up in value because that's increasing your net worth, and you're always every single day worried about your stock portfolio going up or down because you think that that's what you should be looking at, you're wrong. Because what you should be doing is focusing your attention in the things that will make you more money, so that in turn 1000% of the times you will increase your net worth by focusing your attention on the things that make you money. Are those assets important? Yes, but don't let it take too much of your attention to the point where you're going to be missing business opportunities or just money making things that you could be focusing on that will in turn increase your net worth. I can promise you that. I will always focus in making more money instead of making my value of my assets go up. Because I know the moment I can make more money, I can increase my net worth. Because I know that I know what to do with my money, and wherever I put it will increase my net worth. So trust me on this. You want to make sure that you strive to make $1 million before you strive to make your net worth $1 million. It'll result in the same thing, but you can make your net worth be 5 million instead of $1 million if you're making $1 million, instead of focusing on how to get to $1 million as your net worth. Second thing I'm gonna say on this is typically most of the times you're going to have your net worth tied to assets that are very hard to reach and very hard to liquidate if you needed to. Most people, in fact, Elon Musk and most of the richest guys in the world are tied, their net worth is tied to things that are very hard to access if they needed that money. So when you see people's net worth or your own, don't think that because you're worth $5 million on paper or Elon Musk is worth 200 billion, they can take 200 billion and give it to you cash. Because typically it's tied to a business or something that is very, very illiquid and they can't really get access to that money. And it actually comes back to the first point I was making. Make sure that you're making money and not just tied all your net worth into one thing that you can't access, because you're going to be a broke millionaire whose net worth is all tied in one asset, and if you have a good opportunity, you won't be able to jump into it. Why? Because you don't have access to the capital that will be needed when that opportunity arises. Last thing I'm going to say on this is the following. In most cases, for 99% of people, your biggest piece on your net worth will be your own business. And if you're not a public company, you're never going to know how much you're really worth, because the value of your company, again, if you're not a public company, is going to be really hard to determine. And it's determined by very many things. One of them is how profitable the company is and how much money it makes. So for example, if you had a company that makes $5 million a year and you have a 30% profit margin, somebody could value that company at $20 million, which in turn will make you be worth $20 million. But guess what? If your face is the company, you're really not worth $20 million, because nobody's going to buy the company. Why? Because they know that the second you drop out of the company, because you're the face of it, it will be worth nothing. So nobody's gonna buy it. What am I trying to say with this? What I'm trying to tell you is that sometimes you have to be okay with knowing that you're worth more than what you can prove, but you're not going to be able to prove it because you have it tied to a business where you're the face, but you're making the money. Guess what? it's making you money, and I'm all in on that. Let me tell you something. I'd much rather own a company that is making me $5 million a year and my net worth is just 1 million versus owning a company that is making me 1 million and my net worth is just $5 million. I much rather take the income. So what I'm trying to tell you with this is don't get too deep into the net worth number, because it can be dangerous. It can be making you make a decision that is not the smartest decision financially. With all of that being said, I hope that today's video accomplished its mission and that it gave you a little bit of an insight on what goals you should have and what to strive for. Please leave a comment below with your thoughts or anything that I should be covering in future videos like I said previously. But other than that, go follow me on Instagram so that you can get daily content from me there. And other than that, take care everybody. Until next time.